friends, welcome back to my channel. We're here today with another review. Today we are discussing The Lesson by Cadwell Turnbull. This is a novel that I read because it was a selection for the Runwright Reads book club in October. If you're not familiar, I'll just catch you up. We are reading the Caribbean in 2021 in the Runwright Reads book club. And so every month we choose a different Caribbean country or territory, and we read two novels by two different authors, so we get a little bit of the voice of the people, the voice of the nation, through two different griots. And it's really interesting, that project, because sometimes the novels are so different and sometimes they're very similar and there's a little overlap in their projections, but I love it. So in October, the focus was the US Virgin Islands, and we read Land of Love and Drowning by Tiffany Yanique, and I already posted a review of that book here. And so today we're discussing The Lesson by Cadwell Turnbull. This is not the kind of book that I usually gravitate towards because it is marketed as sci-fi, and it's not. It is. But it's also allegorical because the book is set in the regular space, in our current reality, except for this one thing, which is an alien invasion that happens in the not too distant future. And the premise of the novel really is how these islanders deal with the invasion of people from another planet or people from another kind of reality, and how their lives, for the most part, don't change. So it's really interesting because the author gives us these different characters, and we're following several people in the beginning, and we're getting a little of their backstory, a little bit of their lives before the alien invasion. And then there's this like dramatic pause, and then we're following the characters living several years after the invasion, at the point where this thing that is supposed to be the most significant event in their lifetimes, in their space, in their expectations, has happened, and people have kind of gone back to life before they know it. And it's interesting because it's a philosophical discussion. How do we adjust when things have shifted? When everything that you thought you knew is different? What are some of the things that you would do, or what are some of the things that you wouldn't? And so I love that Turnbull takes something that is supposed to be such a dramatic shift and shows the sameness of experiences. He also uses these alien invaders as symbols for all the others who come to our space and force us to accept them, force our hand in providing hospitality, even when they're biting our hands off. So I love that. The novel follows several characters, like I mentioned, and some of the characters are not as interesting as others. But it's interesting to see how Turnbull chooses which character to follow at what point, and which of the characters survive this big event. No spoilers in this review, but what's really interesting is he gives this character the voice as the storyteller, and this character does not have hero qualities. He is no one's idea of what a hero would be, not even his own. And yet, we see him taking up the mantle as the storyteller, as the recorder, as the griot for this time and space and these people. And I just find it so interesting that the author, as a male storyteller, chooses this also male storyteller who is very anti-hero, to be the person, to be the survivor. But I'm not going to identify who that is, so you have to read the novel and try to figure out which of these multiple characters could be that person. Things about the book that I really enjoyed, though. I love the fact that he followed different characters at different times, and so it feels like we are getting a more broad picture of what is happening, not limited to the views and opinions and biases of one specific character. And eventually we come to the invasion, and we start to see these aliens who have come and taken on human form, and they look human. They look very similar to our people, but there's a very distinct character, and the author, in showing these people or these beings who are similar to us but also very different, and how the different treatments are meted out, brings into question or asks us to really reflect on all the people who have come to our shores and how they've been treated, what their demands have been, and what are some of the compromises that we've made in order to take what we think we can get from them. It's a really interesting discussion about relationships that should be mutually beneficial. What are some of the collateral damage opportunities or collateral damage vulnerabilities of those relationships? Because you know that when there are relationships, there are always going to be compromises. And what are some of the things that you're willing to give up? Are you willing to endanger the lives of the people in your community that maybe live on the periphery, the people who will not be able to abide with some of the laws that you set up, the laws that will govern that relationship? And what are some of the things that could happen if those rules are not abided by? So I love the book. I love how the author, like I said, follows different characters at different points and shows us the opportunities that exist in the relationship between the islanders and the aliens. He shows us the dangers of letting the administration think for you, make decisions on your behalf sometimes. And, you know, that of course is a point of discussion for the role of government in our lives, and how much of our individual decision making should be ceded to our leaders. So that's a really interesting topic to discuss as well. But there's also an opportunity to think about why do some people seem to get immunity from consequences, and others seem to have to bear the brunt of their decisions. And it makes me think about the diplomatic immunity that is offered to people who are living and working in other countries on behalf of their government. And this alien invasion definitely takes you into that space. So there's a lot to reflect on in this book. At the outset, you might say this is a science fiction book and it's not for me, but read it, read through it. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of sci-fi. I don't necessarily seek out sci-fi in general. I've had this book for over a year on my Kindle and didn't feel impressed to pick it up right away because that's not my general genre that I go for. But once I started reading this book, it was so immersive. I was completely engrossed and I enjoyed it immensely. So high recommendation for you to also check out The Lesson by Cadwell Turnbull. Think about, while you're reading the book, think about what the lesson is that you're supposed to be getting from this book. Not because the book is preachy, because it's not, but as the characters are evolving, they're also bringing us along with them, giving us these thought experiments, and the characters are asked to reflect on the lesson that they should be learning from this interaction with the Yina people. I never, so far in the video, I never explained the name of the aliens. They're the Yina people. And there's meaning in everything. And high praise for this book, and I hope that you'll read it. Would love to chat with you in the comments down below. If you've read Cadwell Turnbull's The Lesson, or if something I said in this video makes you want to pick it up, would love to chat with you about that in the comments down below. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more. Let's chat in the comments. And until next time, happy reading. Bye.